decisions. So today's session is all on the role of intuition in hiring decisions, and we are in a treat because we have Chirag Agarwal with us. Chirag is a senior manager of talent acquisition at HCLTech, and he's someone who really knows his stuff when it comes to blending tech with the human touch in hiring. So Chirag has a decade of experience in companies like Genpact and Noldos Incorporated, etc. Uh, so let's welcome Chirag. So hi Chirag, how are you doing? And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and coming and joining us.
Thank you, Sabji, and thank you for having me here with you. I was when I got a call, I was very excited about this discussion, and then this topic itself is quite interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, to start with, who am I and how I came here? Everything. I was born and brought up in Muradabad. It's a
Hmm.
city in Uttar Pradesh. It is popularly known as the brass city of India.
Yes.
And my schooling and everything happened in a smaller town there, which is Gajrola. So
Hmm.
all convent. I had my 10th and 12th and everything, and then I went for my graduation to Mathura. In my engineering days, I was pretty sure. I mean, it was study wise and everything, it was all okay. But then the inclination was more towards this HR thing.
Okay.
And being from a family, I mean, business background, it is more of, you deal with people and everything. So that instinct and that, what do you say, cultural grooming was always there in terms of networking, meeting people and all that. So it was in my graduation days that I decided to, come into HR thing. And post that, I joined this organization, Artec Infosystems. I was into US staffing, which is more to do with, hiring people in US or not NORAM region. And then spending some 2 years there, I moved to Genpact. And in Genpact, I spent some good time with very fantastic mentors like Ramit, Murli, and others. And post that, I joined a startup. I was, being mentored by Kashe Falvi. He was there as my mentor and my, reporting manager, I must say.
Hmm.
And then he moved out, and then I was leading the recruitment function there. Post
Okay.
that, I joined HCL. I mean, HCL, this is my second time before Genpact also, but it was a smaller stint. So
Hmm.
this is my second time in HCL. Now I am working. I'm blessed to work with quite a few leaders, market leaders in terms of recruitment, like Badhu Nawaz, Arvind Saini, and Vikas Sharma. So, fantastic people I have been working with in Artec, Dheeraj Tyagi. So it has been quite a good journey for me altogether. And that's how I'm here doing talent acquisition. I was fascinated by the HRs who used to come to our college for recruitments, and that's where the interest got developed. So that's how the journey has been.
Great. So the first question was exactly what you answered, like about your journey from childhood to becoming a leader, and I think you have answered that.
Yeah.
So the second question which I have put across is, in your experience, how effective are algorithms in predicting a candidate success compared to traditional methods?
Okay. So I'm a little old school guy.
Okay.
In terms of hiring people and interacting with people, it is more to do with the human touch. But
Mhm.
then when we talk about a human touch and we see the society, it is all progressive.
Okay.
And everyone with the technology advancement that we are experiencing current date, so algorithms come handy to bring effectiveness and speed to the total process of hiring. Also, they bring objectivity and reduce biasness from the hiring process altogether. And the third thing, it applies in terms of consistency to a particular hiring process. So these three things, I think, because of how a data is being fed to an algorithm, defines all these three outputs from an algorithm when we use them for hiring projects and everything.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that primarily depend on the quality of data that we are
Okay.
feeding. If it is a well trained data, it is refreshed and pre-processed data, there will not be a biasness, and the effectiveness will come.
Mm.
However, concepts like contextual understanding of a particular situation, and then to do with complexity of roles that a particular organization is looking forward to hire people for, it becomes important to bring that traditional and the human touch to it. Because algorithms won't know what is the context of the situation, why and what are we doing. It is just a command that has been given to a system, and they are doing it. It is doing it. So it's like that. So more to do with a balanced, like we talk about balanced diets in our daily life. It is about a two-way, hand in hand, for both human and the algorithm should be a part of decision making process in terms of hiring and recruitment.
Great. So, what do you think? Like we talked about biases, which you have talked about just now. So,
Mhm.
what are the potential biases which you think are inherent in this data-driven hiring tools? So, and how can companies can mitigate them or reduce the biases so that they have a balanced bunch of people joining them as employees?
Mhm. So every company, I mean, not every company, but most of the large companies, they have implemented ATS and various tools to govern and process their hiring
Hmm.
functions and everything. But again, having said all that, algorithm is just a command or a program written,
Hmm.
so it works on data, and whatever data is being fed, if it is the first step is wrong, the process will go wrong. And in terms of biases that may come in algorithm, could be historical. I mean, a particular set of data was fed, say, 5 years ago, and that is still being used, so it may be stale for a situation today. So that kind of historical bias can come. Then next, I say it as a selection bias, or could be seen as a non-robust bias for an algorithm, which implies that, say, we are hiring people for India, in India, and we need people for some other geographies. So, but an algorithm or a program was written specifically for India kind of hiring terms. Then it may become biased in hiring people, for those functions or for those geographies. Next is more to do with the proxy biases and affinity biases. These are more into data pre-processing and everything, which again may corrupt the data and the inflow which has been given to an algorithm to process things. In
Okay.
terms of what rectifications can be done, again, going back to the first question, human touch thing and the intuitions, uh, a balanced hybrid thing, I think, should be there. And proper audits should run. We should run proper audits on the tools that we are using. And then the program that is being developed altogether should be developed by diverse development teams who may be sitting at different geographies, because they will empathize more with the situation that they are in, and the people may be in from those particular set of geographies. And then, yeah, human oversight and reviews, time to time reviews, is something which is very, very important. And if that is done, I think it is more about monitoring and updating the data time to time, and it will help organizations all the likelihood.
Lovely. Okay. So, what are your tips for recruiters like to refine their intuition and make better hiring decisions? So, as I've spoken to a lot of HR leaders, a lot of recruiters, they have their own intuition. They have that like gut feeling, ki, haan,
Yeah.
this is the candidate which we want, and this type of candidates are best for our company. So,
Mhm.
any tips for them to refine their intuition, make better hiring decisions?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So there are two things I personally believe, as a recruiter, have been in the industry for last 13 years.
Hmm.
There are two things. One is data, and one is understanding what you need. If we do not quantify it clearly what we need, if we ourselves are not clear in our expectations, we
Hmm.
will not be able to do things righteously. So first thing a recruiter need to do is to understand what a requirement is, and then need to understand the landscape that that particular recruiter himself or herself is in, which implies or is directly proportional to hiring culturally fit people.
Hmm.
This is how they will know an intuition which is needed for their current organization, and hence they will be able to evaluate people correctly. Second is diversifying the perspective that they have. I mean, if I am a recruiter, I should diversify my perspective. It may be a situation that I need to hire, say, inclusion I want to have in my organization. So I need to look at especially able people. I need to look at LGBTQ plus. Every avenue I should be open for.
Hmm.
And this is something that I think in terms of behavioral intuition a person need. Second point is about the data. They should know, as one of my mentor always say, that a recruiter is not a recruiter if he doesn't know his own data. And historically it has been, history repeats. So if a particular organization has a particular offer decline ratio, this ratio, so those intuitions will come from that particular set of data for a recruiter. So he will know while talking to a person how will that progress a discussion altogether. So that's how I think these are a few tips.
Okay. Okay. Uh, like so we have two sections which we have talked about. One
Mhm.
is like intuitive insights of recruiters, and one is the algorithmic data, or the uh, data from this AI driven systems which come in. How do we marry both of them? Like what strategies have you found effective in integrating this data from algorithms, or feedback recommendations from the algorithms with the intuitive insights during the process?
Okay. This is interesting. Okay. Intuitions themselves are driven from a set of data. I have built an experience of 13 years, and that past 13 years is a data for me. And that's how my intuitions are being built for a particular process. Similarly, for an algorithm, also we need data. Now, it is all about updating a human that yes, something is happening, and then updating the algorithm also that this needs to be achieved. So it is always hybrid, and that's where in the second point I was telling about continuous audits and continuous marrying of systems and cleaning of the systems, so that algorithm knows what do we need, and we will get what we require, and then we will make choices. There were reports say from career builder kind of organizations that 75% of resumes before a recruiter can even see are abolished by the ATS itself. So only 25% of resumes you are able to see in when you're hiring people. So that's where that intelligence will be needed. We should feed that into the system, and then system will give it back to us what we need. So that's how I think the marry will happen between two.
Great. Um, and last question from the main question which I have is what is the role of intuition in this hiring process and evolving? Technology is evolving every day. So we are using a lot of new tools which are coming in. The older tools are getting refined with more tech, more data too. So how do you see the role of intuition in hiring evolving as technology continues to advance?
Okay. So, Subhajit, on the lighter note, if algorithm could have done everything, you would have been interviewing a robot today. So intuitions are that important for hiring, and that's why we called human resources as human resources, because it is all about humans. So while we say that technology is advancing, while we know that old system are being updated from legacy systems, we are moving to current AI kind of versions and everything, machine learning and whatnot, but there will always be limitations. Be it ChatGPT, be it anything, they are also trained. There are a few things that an algorithm cannot do. It could be predominantly on the side of, say, identifying expectations. It could be around candidate experience that we are talking about. It could be about like I was talking about contextual learning of a situation. So there are multiple things that need human interventions, that gut feel, and the righteousness in a particular situation to understand what you need, which an algorithm may not be able to do for now at least.
Okay, okay. So lovely, like insights from you, and I think a lot of recruiters, HR heads, even founders who are listening to this will get a lot of insights on this, how to go about this technology and the intuition
Yeah.
part. Okay, so we'll move on to the audience questions. We have a couple of audience questions which we have shortlisted.
Mhm.
So one of them asks, like, are there specific skills or training programs you recommend for recruiters? Are there any specific skills or training programs you recommend for recruiters?
Okay. So, for recruiters, again, to the earlier point of mine, behavioral, interviewing, which actually
Okay.
implies in terms of understanding, the past experience and the history and how
Hmm.
a person is behaving to a particular situation.
Okay.
Maybe it may be as easy as how do I celebrate my happiness, or how do I take my failures.
Okay.
And second is about the data analysis and everything.
Hmm.
A recruiter without data is just like a vehicle without, petrol and diesel. So we need to have those kind of skills developed. And on more to do with skills, we people should be open for diversity inclusion in their
Hmm.
organization, so that every organization becomes equal level playing ground. And then the most important thing, which I think is the feedback cycle skill, which most of the recruiters I have seen, because I have been talking to people, they tell us, the recruiters most of the time they do ghosting, they just vanish, I'll get back to you, and all that happens. So this is something which is very important. You'll have to face people someday. Why not today? So it is all about, if somebody is rejected or selected is something we are happy about, but if somebody is rejected, we should go back and have that courtesy and tell people that this is something which has happened, and these are the areas that you should work on. This will be helpful for you in terms of networking, increasing your network, and helpful for the person who was rejected because of a number of reasons or maybe something else. And then the skill is about emotional intelligence, empathizing and developing those social skills. Because if one day all the job boards are rubbed off from internet, how will you
Hmm.
recruit people?
Hmm.
So a recruiter need to know how to do social networking, which is the most important thing. And before any ATS or any job board was there in the pre 2000s, recruitment times, it was all networking that was yielding results. So these are some few skills. In terms of training programs, could be related to certified recruitment programs that are offered by SHRM and Middle Earth HR kind of organizations. And then soft skill development programs and behavioral programs that happens for recruiters. So there are multiple things, personality development, in order to tackle with situation and people.
Okay. Okay. So we come to the next audience questions. How do you see the evolution of hiring from traditional to algorithms we use today? Evolution of hiring from traditional to algorithms we use today.
Okay. First thing that comes to my mind is obviously advancement, which has which brought things from traditional old school hiring techniques to current AI driven
Hmm.
techniques. And the recruiters and everybody, I mean, the recruiters have been there in the system and in the organizations for ever since. So from the early days, which we can call as traditional pre 2000s, before 2000s, it was mainly about manual resume screening and walk-ins and everything, and that was a very time consuming process that time. So interestingly, like the first newsletter of Boston newsletter was published in 1700s, and then since then, and then even before that, recruitment have been happening on a very time consuming process. Take time, call for people, interview them, and all that. Then in the early digital age, which is which can be quoted for 10 years, a decade of 2000 to 2010, it was when the ATSs were introduced to the market, and which reduced the time that was being invested in the recruitment process a lot. And then in this algorithmic age which we are currently in, we are taking help of AI, I mean machine learning driven ATS systems. They do parsing for us and they do whatnot, and then we get profiles and everything out of it. Chatbots, we are using virtual assistants, and multiple things are coming up. And then in the future emerging age, where we are looking forward to integrate AI, machine learning, natural language processing techniques and everything, which will even make everything easier and faster for recruiters to handle. And but again, if you see, humans were always there while the system came up and is growing, but humans will always there and will always be there, because ultimately we'll have to hire humans only.
Uh,
So that's how I see the growth from traditional days to emerging days. Yeah.
Great. So we move on to the next part. That is the candidate part,
Hmm.
where a candidate has asked a question. A lot of candidates ask the same question, which we you have already covered. I think you told that many agencies they chop off 75% of the candidates and 25% is only visible to recruiters. So
Hmm.
the candidate question goes like this: how can job seekers write a ATS friendly resume? Is it necessary to do so?
Okay, so this is two pointed question.
Hmm.
Uh, Not every company is using an ATS. First thing, so
Okay.
we will have to. This is a given fact. The smaller organization, startups, and not everyone does it, or maybe they are implementing it. So one part is this, and second is any resume which is ATS corresponding may not be as beautifully tailored, or as well written as it should be to demonstrate what a person has done.
Hmm.
But then that tailor-made resume may not be ATS readable. So there are
Hmm.
two things. Again, when we are talking about markets like India or markets bigger than India, we should take it as a definition that companies must be using ATS or a tool to drive their hiring processes. So then it becomes important for everyone and anyone who is looking forward to explore job market to make something which is quite readable for an ATS, so that it is not missed, like it was demonstrated by career builder kind of thing. So we have to take care of a few things which actually while every ATS has its own format and everything, but generally when we are making a resume as a layman, it is more to do with a clear formatting of a resume. It has to be made as per a job opportunity. Like we used to prepare for an exam, as there were 10 different subjects for me, so I had to prepare for every different subject differently. It is similar to a job that we are applying for, so we will have to make a resume according to that particular thing. So that's where the keyword optimization for your resumes comes in,
Hmm.
and that has to be highlighted in the resume with a clear formatting, and it has to be consistent and uniform in terms of how are we, what kind of font size and everything are we using. The one mistake that I always notice in resumes is that people try to put their photographs or they put logos of their organizations and everything. At times, ATS is not able to read those images and everything, and then the resume become corrupts. So I will be more happy to see a resume which is well formatted. I will not be able to see a resume which is written in HTML line by line and no spacing and anything. So that formatting, cleanliness of a resume is very very important, and we have to quantify our achievements and detail the heading. If it is about experience, it should show experience written very clearly for ATS to read it. So that's there are a few tips that I think
Okay.
candidates should use.
I think that will be lovely for people who are applying right now for the job and listening to this. I think we'll broadcast it more. So we'll come to the next section, which is a very funny section, rapid fire,
Okay.
where we get to know more about you.
Okay.
So I'm ready with my questions. Whenever you're ready, you let me know so we can start.
I am never ready for rapid fire, but let's get it done
Sure.
quickly.
Okay. First question for you, Chirag. First thing you do in the morning to kickstart your day.
Okay, I have a cup of coffee and I think of the tasks that I need to do for the complete day. So it takes 5-7 minutes to do all that.
Great. What's more important, exercise? Sorry, experience or potential?
Potential.
Okay. If you could hire any historical figure, who would it be and what would you have them do?
Okay, so I have to hire an historical figure. I will go for I don't know. There are multiple people, and it depends again, like intuitions, what kind of situation I want to hire people for. So, if it is to bring a change, I'll try to hire Mahatma Gandhi ji. And if it is about something else, I will, or maybe about bringing discipline to country, it can
Okay.
be Sardar Vallabhbhai. But anybody. I mean, it depends on the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could instantly master a new skill,
Hmm.
what would it be?
It will be about reporting and analytics, data analytics that I will always want to do immediately if I get a chance.
Okay. Suppose you are given a ticket to work anywhere from the world, anywhere in the world. Okay, from anywhere. Where would it be?
It will be India only. I will not go out of India.
Okay,
Yeah. I want to be here in my country. Yeah.
great. If you could switch jobs with anyone in the world for a day,
Hmm.
who would it be?
I think it will be some Indian bureaucrat in ISPCS kind of thing.
Acha.
That it was my dream, never came true. So that will be my go-to thing.
Okay. So the last question of the rapid fire. What would you title your autobiography?
The title for my autobiography will be the most complex thing in the world is to keep things simple.
Lovely. Lovely. Great. So that brings to the end of the discussion, the
Thank
end
you.
of the roundtable. Great having you, Chirag. Thank you so much for
Same.
taking time, giving us so insightful details about every part of the hiring, and a lot of questions were answered for the candidates also. So it was lovely having you. Hopefully, you loved the content, you liked how we approached it. And thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Chirag, for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
I appreciate all your efforts and congratulations, and you should be proud of what you are doing. All the best.
Sure. Thank you, Chirag. Bye bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.